Welcome. In this video, I'll be covering control point lines. We've done straight lines primarily, so this will catch you up on the next bit. Brought in a picture frame of just a Lotus drawing that had some interesting line work, and I'm going to try to recreate it. So this is the line you've been using, polyline. We're going to do the control point curve. This is, I guess, nurbs curve. Make sure grid snap's turned off and things like smart tracker off. Even at the beginning you don't need object snap. So I'm going to start in what I think is a center and try to make one of these outlines. When you're doing these control point curves, you will sort of anticipate the curvature and try to set control points that are outside of it, and they map. So the longer the span, the more equal distance you should have between them, and it's good to try to do this in the fewest points possible. Since we've got this cusp here on the endpoint, I'm just going to add a real quick double click in there. We'll add a kink knot in there in a second. Alright, so I've got one line I can go in, which you should already know, and turn on the control points, and start moving the control points around to get a little bit closer to the drawing. You can see these overlap one another, control points. I'll spread those back out so I can insert the kink here in a second. So I'll go ahead and get the rest of these control points lined a little better up with the curve. And you see they affect beyond themselves. So here's some curvature. I might actually want to add a control point or scoot this one all the way down if I can do it in that few moves. So I'll be adding the kink in there in a second, so that's why I don't really need to be too tight right in this area. And then go ahead and have it overlap because I'll use later on trim all these pieces out. Alright, so this is where we can insert a kink. Just type in insert, and a bunch of other commands will come out. It's going to ask you what line and then where you want it. So, and then right click to enter. So this gives me a straight line point. You can see if I invert it. I'm going more for this look. So basically it gives you a nice corner, sharp corner, in the middle of all the other curved lines. So just make sure you spread your control points back out. You usually have to massage things multiple times. Alright, so this is looking pretty good. And I'll go ahead and go with that, turn the control points back off. And here what I can do is I can trace over all these lines individually, or I could use source, this first one that I've drawn, by rotating it and telling it that I want to have a copy each time. I'll turn snapped back on and start at the endpoint, which I think is my middle so far, and go to another endpoint just as a reference. Put one here, 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 and here. And I'll draw the middle petal individually. So that gave me a bunch of quick copies, which I should be able to just go in and turn control points back on and move things with the fence selection. And this is probably where you want to disable snapping again. I'll move my endpoints a little bit overlapped in there. And you'll do this for each one of these lines to kind of give them a unique bit, but all your control points are copied from that original curve. And make sure I go over that other line because I'll trim that out. No clue what I'm doing there. Cut that out. I don't even need that part. I'm going to trim it out, so I just need shorter bits of these lines. You need to always kind of go back to the start of the petal. You can delete control points as well, so you can do that at a certain point here. I delete that one, you can see it goes straight all the way to Actually, I can get rid of quite a few of these. Alright, so that brings us back up. I probably actually deleted more than I should have. You should get the hang of it. I'll go ahead and move on. You get the idea of the control point editing. You can delete things. Once you're done, you will end up trimming. I'll just do this with a couple, so you get the idea if I created these other two. I'm going to clean these up with trim. There, and there. And then if there's any overlaps or underlaps there. So the next step would to do something with all the lines once they're all cleaned up, trimmed and extended as mirror. And this is where you'll get an idea of the true center. I'm going to disable or re-enable snap and mirror this. And actually I did pretty good on getting the center. Usually what you can do is if you went too far, draw a line and get a midpoint on the line on the gap or the overlap of the two lines. And then you want to draw this middle petal, these other petals, similar way, and continue on until you've drawn all the lines that you want in your line work. I'll go ahead and turn off these lines and turn on the other lines so you get an idea. Turn off the picture frame, what the finished, cleaned up drawing look like. You should be able to constantly have to zoom in and make sure you've trimmed or extended lines. Like, let's say this control point wasn't here. One thing you can do if you don't have control points on, you quickly want to just get that line down there. You can snap to the near, or you can say extend. I say I want this to be my boundary. Hit enter by right clicking, and then this is the line I want to extend, and then it'll go ahead and draw that line extension for you. So what I've done here as well is prepared this for printing. I know some of you are going into Illustrator. If you don't have Illustrator, you can basically create 3 different layers. Turn that off. Now you can see they're colored based on their layer color. Just you can have a heavy, medium, and light line weight, which you can actually menu set. If you right click on the layer name, you can go to set properties. You've got line type, which you can select dash lines. You've got print color, which you should set all of these to be black if you want reliability, just based on line weight, and then print width, which I think I've chosen the 0.13 for light, maybe the 0.3 for medium, and the I think I've typed in 0.45 for the heavy. You got to print often and sort of compare these at the scale you're printing. If you just type in the print command, you will have the printer as an option for the destination, images, or vector output, which would be a PDF. And you can import that PDF into Illustrator as well. So you can set the scale here. So many of you, if you've done 1:1 feet drawings of buildings, you can go ahead and export these at any scale you need. I just did a proportional one to kind of fit the middle of the paper. And then when you print them out, you'll look at the line weights, and sometimes you can mass scale all the line weights you've set with the divisions by some number here as well. That pretty much does it. Thanks.